they got their butts kicked because, when there's an avalanche at the early innings of a game and your starting pitcher, Jack Flaherty, gives up 10 earned runs, and I will give the Cardinals credit for this. The hitters really, I thought they battled. I thought the bullpen was terrific, only allowing one unearned run the rest of the way, and really not that many hits. I'm talking about Woodford, Stratton, Romero, and Verhagen. I mean, the bullpen did a nice job. It was kind of wasted for a lost cause, but they did. And you look at some of the Cardinals. Let me find my thing here, my notes. As always, I know Lars Nootbaar had.
He was 4 for 5 today.
4 for 5. Goldie 2 for 5 with 2 RBI. Contreras 2 for 4 with 2 RBI. Edman 2 for 4 with a 3-run homer. So you had some guys, waking up a little bit. Some of them don't need to be waking up. But on the other hand, O'Neill 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. I mean, my goodness, I
don't know what to make of him anymore, to be honest with you.
And Dylan Carlson, he walked a couple of times. He was trying to work it. So there were some people that were trying their best to, close the gap, and they did, but only to 4 runs. It's pretty tough to ask a lineup to rescue you when you're down 10-2 after the third inning, and going into the bottom of the fourth, you're down 10-2. But I want to know, there's some people that deserve at least just a little, just a dollop or two of praise, because they weren't all bad today.
Yeah, the hitting, there was glimpses of guys that we were hoping to see. Nootbaar 4 for 5. That's actually a great day for him.
He's going to be all right. He's just out of rhythm. Everything that happened, WBC, thumb injury, IL, he'll be fine.
Contreras now up to his average up to 284 after what was a really rough start. I mean, he's hitting now again. Edman,
yeah,
he just keeps finding ways to pop one here and there over the last 3 weeks. I know they like him down at the bottom of the orbit. Maybe there's a different spot for him coming up soon. Who knows?
He's slugging 480. I think that's pretty. I don't know where to put him though. He bat first against left-handers. I don't know. That's another topic for another day. All right, let's. We're going to get to some of your text messages here, but first, I did things backwards. That's my poor job there, but because I talked about what Marmol said last night, which I thought was just kind of ludicrous on many levels, without letting you hear it first. So I think we got the full thing here. So let's go. We'll play it for you now.
What's your reaction? I mean, the fans are frustrated. Obviously, you guys hear that.
Do you think they're more frustrated than us?
No, I don't think so.
No, I can tell you right now they're not. That clubhouse is extremely frustrated. And understand something. This is year 17 with the Cardinals. I've had the privilege of doing this for 17 years for one organization. And whether you're in the minor leagues as a coach, in the lowest level, if you're a coach at the big league level or you're managing in my seat, you wake up every single day with one thing in mind: is how to improve the organization. So to sit here and think that other people are more frustrated than the people in this clubhouse is insane. Absolutely insane, I can tell you that. Every coach that's in that clubhouse wakes up and loses sleep over how to improve what's going on at the moment. And that's the only thing that crosses your mind every minute of the day. That's why this organization has been good for a long time. It's because everyone wakes up with the same thing in mind. So to think that when you say that the fan base is, we want to deliver for this city. That's what you wake up for every day. And trust me, we don't mind the accountability. That's also why we wake up every day, because it drives us, knowing that if we do well, things go well. And if you don't, people are pissed. That drives me. It drives everybody in that clubhouse. So if you think other people are more frustrated than within these walls, you're crazy.
That's, Jimmy, I mean this sincerely. So I hear, I listened to it last night. It's even worse when I hear it today. It really is, because first of all, Ben Frederickson asked a legitimate question, and nowhere in that question did he say, suggest, or imply that there are other people who care about what's going on with the Cardinals than the Cardinals. No, that was never said. So Ollie did a dishonest thing there because he went with a premise that is a completely false premise. I mean, he took a good question, and instead of letting Benfred finish asking the question, it was like, oh, this is my chance. I'm going to pounce on it. No one said the fans care more than the Cardinals. But to kind of dismiss that outright at the very beginning of the question, you cut the guy off because you're offended that someone would even mention that the fans are frustrated, and then you're going to flip that into they're not more frustrated than my guys and all that. Well, leave the fans out of it. You probably need to exercise some diplomacy these days, right?
Yeah.
But calling people crazy because there's a mention about the fans being frustrated and saying it's insane to think that anybody cares more than us. Well, how the hell is that insane? Does it? I mean, this team's terrible, and there are times where you wonder where their heads are, or why they're not running the bases better, or this and this and that. So how can you sit there and talk about how you're insisting that you're basically 100% locked in? You care more than anybody outside these walls could understand. Well, like I mentioned briefly earlier in the show, why isn't any of this stuff, this passion? Nobody cares more than us. It's insulting that you even suggest that somebody else cares more than we do. Well, all this caring, when's the last time they won a game? If you're that dedicated and you're that fired up, shouldn't there be some more wins on the table? And again, I'm going to say what I said, earlier in the show. When you're 10-22, you don't get a chance. You really lost your privilege to brag about your team and how much how hard they play and the effort they make, and because it isn't leading to results. It's leading to more bad results, and it also. You defend them. You fiercely defended them. And yet they come out the next afternoon and they're down 11-2. But the manager's offended that even a trace of a hint that someone in the media is implying that the fans care more than the baseball team. And Benfred absolutely 100% did not do that. So, Cardinals PR or whomever, maybe Mo, if Marmol feels like he's got to go on the offensive, tell him, hey, next time you feel you got to vent and do all this stuff, leave the fans out of it. Just sit down at the start of the news conference and just say your piece. Don't do a reporter, a media person. Don't use them as a prop for you to send the message you want to send, a message that, by the way, had nothing to do with what Ben Frederickson asked him, because he changed the subject. That is weak stuff. I mean, it is about as weak as it gets. So anyway, I can't shake this thing because I think of all of the listeners and, even those who are maybe retired or whatever. And I think about how hard they worked for decades, going to work every day, really, really pushing it, doing the best they could, taking pride in it. And, probably get a pat on the back every now and then from a boss or, coworker, whatever, saying, hey, man, I appreciate what you're doing. But this guy's going to whine about that and, say he's almost demanding people recognize that they're playing hard. You're supposed to play hard, especially when you're this bad. You don't get a gift certificate for that. No one's going to bring, a Slurpee in, okay? No,
I like Slurpees, though, but yeah.
But they don't deserve Slurpees.
No, they don't.
I don't know how the hell I came up with that one, but everybody knows what I mean.
Yep.
But wanting credit for doing your job, for showing up and working? Really? They got about $170 million worth of payroll being spent on players? I give up sometime, man. Let's get to some text.
Sure. We've got quite a few that have rolled in here. Marmol may have not lost the team yet, but as a fan, he has lost me after hearing those comments.
And that's another thing. It's really stupid to invite that kind of trouble if you're a manager who right now is failing to do his job. You don't invite that kind of scrutiny, and you don't even bring the fans into it because it's going to create a perception that he's bashing the fans, even if that wasn't directly true. You say that stuff, you open the door to those interpretations. That's a really dumb move. That's about as dumb a move as I've heard from a Cardinals manager in a long time.
I can only imagine John Mozeliak has had to call him into the office again and, hey, this is probably the last time we're going to have this conversation, but you need to watch what you're doing. I mean, it's...
Yeah. No doubt.
And more text here. I think Ali had been silently rehearsing that rant in the dugout all week, Bernie.
Excellent. I agree. And Ben Fred said in his column, he said, and I'm sorry if I misquote this, he said something to the effect of it's almost as if, Ali was waiting for it. So that's the other thing. This is some kind of rehearsed bit of theater,
Yeah, it did have that feel to it. You're right about that.
So where's the discussion and where's the part where he talks about winning ball games and what they have to do to win ball games and what they have to do better? Did I miss that part?
It's, again, back to the sense of reality. I don't think there's a reality in that clubhouse right now.
Yeah, this is, I hope Bill DeWitt's paying attention to this stuff because this does not reflect well on the franchise. And the franchise came into the season with, the front office taking pops because of, they failed to address the starting pitching again. Go ahead if you get some more.
Yeah, we do. They need someone to stand in the clubhouse and say, this is not okay, and knock someone on their tail. A la Ted Simmons and John Denny in the tunnel of the clubhouse back in the day.
All right. I heard about that. Yeah, that's a good reference. But, yeah, I don't know that I'd rather see these guys fight out on the field, as in fight against the other teams as a metaphor rather than fighting amongst themselves. But, yeah, some confrontation will do. So, some confrontation as holding people accountable. And then that's the other thing about what Ali said. He had that line in there about, we want accountability. You do?
Yeah. Don't lose.
You do? Because the first time, it's even mentioned to you that the fans are, upset and, you go off and then you're trying to convince people that, no, we want accountability. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because as soon as the heat gets turned up, your skin is becoming hazardously thin.
Yeah.
When you're 10 and 22, put a lid on that kind of stuff. You've lost the right to be taken seriously. When you're doing the woe is us thing. You wait for a better time. You can gloat if they ever get back to 500 and start playing really well. You can say, listen, I believed in this team all along. Remember that time? Okay, you can play with that. That's later. But here's the idea. Get to 500 first, okay? Then you can brag about stuff. Or you can insist on, fans and everyone stand down. Don't you dare question the Cardinals. Matheny, listen. As much as I rip Matheny never did this. Matheny was never this bad as far as this kind of crap in a post-game session. He owes Ben Fred an apology.
One more, we have more than one more text, but another text. If the Cardinals are going to turn it around, the Detroit series may be the best thing. If not, they can be in a lot more trouble moving forward.
Detroit's been playing pretty better, too.
They swept the Mets 4-game series this week, so be careful. Yes, they won the doubleheader yesterday, won today, and I know they won the first game of the series. So, Oli
Marmol, just win games, man. Your focus should be 100% on winning games. You leave all the other stuff alone because it's only going to get you in trouble, and I think your popularity ratings probably went down again after last night, and went down again when the players responded to your big speech defending them by being down 11-2 to the Angels and getting swept again. Producer Dave Solomon's down at Busch Stadium. He covered the game. He was in the clubhouse, after the game, and he let us know that he'll have some Jack Flaherty stuff because the Flaherty stuff was apparently pretty interesting, and Jack did not appear to be in a good mood. Because as the reporters gathered in front of his locker, he kind of said, take a hike or get lost, or shall I say buzz off, except he didn't say buzz because he wanted to shower, and that's fine. Don't take it out on the media, dude.
Yeah, that's it.
At 6.29 ERA on the season, that's what it is now. You own that. You're the one with the ball on the mound. Nobody else is doing anything to you, okay?
You got to take ownership of it. You really do.
I tell you what, man. It's there is a I'm trying to think something that isn't a cliche, but I think just to move it along, I'll use the cliche. There is not a great deal of mental toughness in that starting rotation, and that's one of the things that really bothers me about it. And that makes it's easy to jump to a conclusion. It's like, obviously, this is not the kind of rotation you need to have or you should want. Miles Miklasz, who I like, and by the way, he has been pitching better lately, but again, it doesn't excuse the fact that he was making a lot of excuses when he was getting hammered early on. Well, bloops, soft base hits, these little dinky ground balls. Well, no, you were getting blasted for home runs and they were slugging near 500 against you, okay? But that became, post-game, there's just bad luck. Do you include, like, hanging a pitch that's hit 430 feet or whatever? Is that bad luck? Just let me know about that one. You got Flaherty, obviously. He's doing the diaper baby thing, and there's no. He's the only one that should be blamed himself. I think Jordan Montgomery's tough-minded. I really, truly do, and I'm not just saying that because he's easily their best starter. Steven Matz does not. He's a fine man, but when I think of the term mentally tough, I don't think of him. I'm not going to say anything about Jake Woodford because he was a fill-in. And then you have Adam Wainwright coming back Saturday. We'll see who does. But I know through past experience, if anyone dares suggest that this is wrong or that's wrong, he can get his gander up. And here's a guy thought, even though he got just tore up in September, he was very, very, very unhappy that he was not in their plan to start the second game against Philly. He would have started the third because, Oli Marmol's just like every manager knows, you better keep Waino happy, right? So see what I'm saying about the lack of mental toughness? I don't throw this thing around in a cavalier fashion. And it makes me sad, Jim, and I know it makes you sad, and it'll make a lot of our listeners sad when you think about Chris Carpenter. You think about Matt Morris, who, by the way, sunshiny guy and all that, but that dude was fierce. I got to know him very well. And he was relentless. He would pitch hurt. He would compete his tail off all the time. No excuses. You look at a guy like Jeff Suppan back in the day. If you had a list of 100 pitchers who had in the majors at that time when he was with the Cardinals who had the best stuff, if you had 150 pitchers, he'd be, let's say it's 150. He'd be down there probably about 138, right?
Yeah.
Competed. He literally was mentally tough every pitch that he threw because his stuff was so undynamic that if he wasn't mentally tough, every time he lifted his leg to throw, his career would have been over, shorter than it, before it eventually. I'm sorry, I'm screwing that up. His career would have come to an abrupt ending, Mm-hmm. And who else can we put on that list? Lance Lynn.
Lynn would have, yeah.
Are you kidding me? You think Lance Lynn would be, it's just sad because they've kind of, and Michael Wacha, before he got hurt, he was another one. You don't think he was tough? You don't think he was all in every pitch he threw?
Pitched through a lot of garbage after that, too, that he fought through.
Yeah, he fought through it. That's right. 2013, that postseason, unbelievable what he did. But, some pitchers break down. He's a hell of a guy. Very tough-minded competitor. There's no doubt about it. And I know I'm leaving some people off, but you all get my drift. I mean, this is not a strong group between the ears as far as competing and fighting, handling adversity, owning up to their performance. I'm not just saying this, man. I got no reason to kind of just, what can I say that'll sound good? No, I don't do that. I don't do that. I just think it's very unfortunate. The personality. I mean, the Cardinals starting pitching under La Russa and Duncan. Now, look, they had some bad years with their starters. This isn't so much about the performance because sometimes Walt Jocketty did a great job, but, sometimes they would take chances on guys. They just didn't have it. But if you look at the culture of that starting rotation, and Chris Carpenter had a lot to do with it, and just passing it on down, they to kind of look at that. And I'll tell you this, too, about Chris Carpenter. I got to know him through those years and really enjoyed watching him work, really enjoyed talking to him about a lot of things, not always on the record. And that guy in the clubhouse, this will surprise no one. If he saw something with his other pitchers,
Yep.
He stayed away from the position players. But if he saw something he didn't like from the other pitchers, they would hear about it, and they would hear about it loudly behind closed doors. He policed that clubhouse when it comes to pitching. He would not let guys go soft on him, right? I can't even imagine what he would have to say about this group.
It's interesting you brought him up because one of our texters before our conversation said, is he around, Chris Carpenter, to come in and kick some tail on this pitching staff? I said,
no.
It's unfortunate. Another texter throws out the name Pat Henkin.
Yeah, he was only there 1 year, but absolutely a tough guy, mentally tough pitcher because he was diminished in that. I think it was a 2000 season. He was diminished. I mean, he had lost a lot of stuff just because of wear and tear and pitching for as long as he did. But he was tough, no doubt about it. He got more out of that season than he should have, really.
Yeah,
La Russa honored him like. The highest honor La Russa could give a player who's departed, right?
Right.
Is he would get the players' cleats and have them sign it, and then he would display it in his office. He had Henkin.
That's right, he did. Good call.
He did.
A couple other texts. John Lackey has been mentioned.
Oh yeah, and he no doubt, and that's everywhere he had been too. But no doubt, in fact. This is kind of what I'm talking about. When is Mo going to shake something up here? I mean, it's a little early to make a big trade. I get all that. But he said, and he said proudly, I think it was 2014, was it? Yeah, I mean, that team was lethargic. It was goofing off all the time. They weren't serious about competing. Matheny, kept playing Alan Craig, who, through no fault of his own, because he was never the same after that brutal foot injury. But Matheny kept playing him every single day. Mozeliak would have talks with him and say, look, man, we both love Alan Craig. but we just can't play him anymore. I mean, Matheny kept playing him and playing him. So this is the Mo I liked as far as – look, I don't dislike Mo personally, but this was the GM that I liked. So one day made a few calls, and then it was almost like that scene in Moneyball.
Yes, you can't play Ellen Craig.
You cannot put Alan Craig in the lineup. Well, I was planning to. Why not? No, I want to go with Craig. I think he's close. No, you can't put him in the lineup because he's no longer a Cardinal. I traded him to Boston about an hour ago. And then on top of that, Mo said, and he said this, he was quoted this extensively, so I remember it very, very vividly. And I also was privy to some other stuff related to this. He said, I'm going to get Lackey. Number one, he's cost efficient, and he was. But no, number two, he said, we need John Lackey. This group needs to toughen up. And this guy will speak his mind, and people will be intimidated by him, and he'll get their attention because he doesn't put up with knuckleheads or soft competitors. So I remember writing a column about all that and what a gift Lackey was to the Cardinals because he helped change the whole mentality. So I get a text from a pitcher who says, look, man, you don't know what you're talking about. No one in here likes him. And I said, and I actually invited kind of an angry exchange, which it didn't become. And I said, well, you just explain why they needed and why you need John Lackey. You're not supposed to like him. You got that, you got the buddy club in there, and everyone's, joking around and having a good old time, and it's like playground back in your elementary school. And meanwhile, things are falling apart because there's a lack of toughness on the team. So Mr. Cardinal pitcher, I'm really glad you told me that because it just reaffirms that Mozeliak did a great thing by getting Lackey. Changed the whole mentality there, right?
Yep.
Romper room was closed. And they didn't like the other starters didn't like Lance Lynn either, because I'll just put it this way: Lance Lynn, God bless his heart, Lance Lynn was the kind of guy that if the manager said something really stupid, and that particular manager, it was kind of a frequent thing, he would just say, all due respect, Skipper, but I think that's bull spit. You do. Here's why, and then he would explain it. Very thoughtful. If he would hear one of the veteran elders, leader types say something in the pitchers' meetings, he'd look there. He'd get a look on his face, and he would say, "You really believe that? Are you serious with this stuff?" They couldn't wait to get him out of there because he made them uncomfortable, and that was the term that Mo used. Thought he had to make that team a little uncomfortable, and he did with Lackey. But the manager was afraid of Lynn. I've told this story before because Lynn would speak his mind. And Lynn, Matheny had this big meeting where he told everyone in spring training, look, we got to do a better job of communicating. And I want you all to know, each and every one of you, that my office door is open to you, and you can tell me whatever you want to tell me. If you think there's something I should be doing better, I want to know the door is always open to you. So Lynn goes in, and this was when he was rehabbing, and there was something about the meeting and something that Matheny was saying. And Lynn said, look, Lynn didn't go in there like cussing and belittling anybody, but he just said, look, I disagree with one of the things you said. I think yada, 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 right? Mm-hmm. So this open door policy and, hey, I want to hear everything. Even if it's critical, I want to hear it. Matheny responded, and according to someone I know, he didn't even look up, and he said, hey, Lance, why don't you go back to Florida and you can, and start doing your rehab there? He just couldn't take the idea that after he invited the open door policy, you come in and say whatever you want. The first time somebody did, it's like, get in touch with CJ. We'll get you a ticket to go back to Florida. Train.
Man.
So I think there's some of that going on now. I really do. And yet I know there's some tough pitchers, mentally tough pitchers. I get it. I'm not branding everyone with the same thing, but I'm having some flashbacks here is what I'm trying to say.
I get it. A couple other texters sent in the names Woody Williams and Todd Stoudemire was another one.
Absolutely. I really liked Stoudemire there in the late 90s. And then Woody Williams for sure. Absolutely. Good call. Producer David Solomon kind of gave a little check mark to the ones that he thought were the best. Well, we're going to play all of them because it won't take that much long. We got John Denton coming up at 5:30, so we got plenty of time. So let's go right from the top. Here's Flaherty on his and the pitching staff's problems with 2 strikes, because we all know the Cardinals pitchers have been the starters especially, just been getting hammered with 2 strikes. And Chip Carey and Brad Thompson talk about it all the time, as they should. Here's Jack Flaherty.
2 strike hits. Whatever that comes down to, whatever the hell we're doing as a staff is pretty bad. Way too many 2 strike hits today. It wasn't like 1-2, or it wasn't like 2-1 hit, bad count, falling behind, whatnot. Even if it fell behind, got back in the count. Make pitches get the 2 strikes, and then too many balls hit hard, and that's frustrating. That's our whole staff just throwing pitches that don't make sense.
And here's Flaherty on the litany of reasons for the poor job with when they have 2 strikes.
Not executing, poor pitch selection, a whole bunch of things that you could wrap it all into one that kind of went into today. Just, there's some bad execution, some balls over the middle of the plate with 2 strikes. There's a whole bunch of pitches that we want back, but you take it, move on, move to the next one.
Jack Flaherty on the frustration of still trying to get to where he wants to be and not getting there.
That's what sucks about today is if I was average, if I put together an average start, we win this game because guys came out and swung it, get 2 runs, and then can't go put up a shutdown inning after we get 2 runs there, give up the home run to, even if we keep it there 2-1, but Rengifo put a good swing on the ball. Would love that pitch back, and then close that inning out. But then get some, give a single, and then 1-2, give a hit to Renfroe, which is just frustrating, and then hit Rendon. They got a chance there to make some pitches. I don't remember what happened to Lamb. Oh no, bloop single to right, but yeah, things just continued to unravel. So we got to do a better job as staff in general. I got to do a better job. Today was just take it as it wasn't good enough, and got 4 days to figure it
out. This description caught my little eyes. I can see out of both. Jack Flaherty apparently had a little problem, or he didn't like a question that Frank Cusimano of News Channel 5 and, of course, KFNS asked him in terms of, is he shocked, is he stunned by the team struggles?
Are you shocked or surprised when you look around this locker room and all this talent and all the winning you've done and see where you are? Are you stunned, or how do you see it?
What am I supposed to be like? Am I supposed to say this is what we expected? What kind of question is that? I'm supposed to say we expected to be here in this spot? No, of course. We're all frustrated. It is what it is. We're way better than this, and we all know it. But that's the thing, is we do know we're better than this, so we're going to climb out of it, and we're going to, at some point we're going to figure it out. And, I was hoping for it to be today. I was hoping to put together a good start, and you know what? I didn't freaking do it, so we turn it over, give the ball to Monty. Let Monty, we better go take it to Detroit, because there's a lot of frustration in here that is going to get out and some team's going to get it. I don't know who's going to be, but, Detroit's playing. They just took a couple from the Mets this last week. I don't know if they swept them, but whatever they did. So, we got to come with it. And, yeah.
Me thinks that a starting pitcher that in 2 1/3 gave up 9 hits and 10 earned runs might want to rethink critiquing a perfectly legitimate question and a good question posed to him by Frank Cusimano. You see what I mean, Jim?
Yeah.
What is wrong with these people? When you're 10 and 22 and Jack Flaherty sitting here with a 6.29 ERA on the season, what the heck is wrong with them? They take offense to a question. Are they under the impression that they're like 22 and 10? The haughtiness is actually comical. And you wonder why they keep losing, because they're all kind of in denial. They all worry about the wrong things. Ali, running away with a question that he didn't even interpret correctly and using that to kind of express his anger that anybody would even suggest that fans care more than the Cardinals players and the coaches, and he does. And no one ever said that. And now you hear this. He takes exception to a question that was like a perfectly normal question to ask. Pally, you don't do that after you get 10 earned runs. It's not, you give them 10 earned runs. It's not like the Coos had the microphone and said, Jack, why do you suck so bad this year?
Right.
Now, that's a question you have a legitimate basis to snap at and, tell the reporter how you feel. Cusimano showed proper respect. Why would you take exception to that? I mean, oh, my God, these people are living in some kind of fantasy world. The big, bad Cardinals are getting humbled, but yet, they're not humble.
Apparently not. You're right.
And then, there's some people that I'll take this from in terms of Paul Goldschmidt, because he's very straightforward and honest. And Paul Goldschmidt will always tell the truth, and he doesn't call people names, and he doesn't go nuts. But he'll always just right away own up, like, hey, man, we got to be better. We're just not playing good enough. And there's no excuses. It's up to us to change this. I think we have the people that can do it, but we got to do it. You can't talk about it. You got to do it. So Jack Flaherty, you heard in that little cut, you said, well, Detroit's coming in here, and I don't know if it would be Detroit, but when we get this thing going, when we get this thing going, I know we will. When we get it going, this and that. And they said, well, get it going. Don't talk about getting it going. That doesn't count. The words don't count. The performance counts. The W's that you get, that's what counts, not the words.
Detroit's going to see that and go, we just swept the Mets. Jack, I don't know who you guys are, but we're coming to your town next.
I'm tired of these two. The 2-strike thing is definitely an issue, but I'm kind of tired of hearing about it and talking about it.
Yeah.
But we will. We'll hear one more of those. Here's Flaherty talking about how to improve that problem.
It's a lot more frustrating giving up 2 strike hits. If you give up the hits in 2-1, 1-0 counts, you can understand that's called falling behind. But if you give them up in 2 strikes, it's called doing a better job executing. You do a good job executing 0-0-0-1, and then you just got to do a better job putting guys away, whether that's throwing the pitches that actually are going to put those guys away, or then when you do throw those pitches, executing better. So it's a combination of both.